Welcome, Viking Nation. It's time to unveil the Week 2 power rankings for VCVikings.com and the Viking Redzone. We're trying something a little bit different this week. We're coming to you via video, which I'm sure a lot of you, if you don't know us, you're probably scared right now because you actually see our faces. This is something completely new that we're trying out. We ask that you let us know what you think, but because if you don't like it, we're not going to keep doing it. But I'm Nathan Lamb. Brad Rose and Lugs Harold are my co-hosts, and we're all here to unveil the Week 2 power rankings for this week. And as we move in towards game day on Friday, we've got a lot of interesting games this week to talk about. Obviously, Vinton County and Athens is a game that's kind of been, up in the air the last few years. I know they've kind of gotten us the last couple of years, but it's been a good game. Wellston, Nelsonville, that's going to be awesome. But we're gonna basically just deliver the Week 2 power rankings via video this week instead of on the podcast like you're used to. So this is new for us. It's new for you. So I'm gonna toss it to Lugs, and he's gonna kick things off.
Okay, so everybody, the week one power rankings are actually our preseason power rankings, by the way. So, but our first rankings of the season, this is before anybody had any data at all, was Athens was number one with 106 points. By the way, this is our own algorithm that we created because we're geniuses and we thought this up. So Athens with 106 points. The Vikings were number 2 with 99 points. Nelsonville York Buckeyes were third place in the preseason power rankings with a 91. Meggs was fourth place with an 87. Wellston was fifth place with an 85. Alexander was sixth place with a 58. And River Valley was last place at 7 with 55 points. So we talked about this in the preseason show. Nobody heard it. When you got past Athens, 2 through 5 were really close in points. It kind of felt like anybody thought anyone could win at that. So now that we have a week to go, the power rankings become a little more real. You have a little bit more data. So we're going to release this one, and Nathan and Rose don't really know what the power rankings are. So we're going to kind of surprise them and get their reactions on these power rankings as we do them. So are you guys ready?
Ready, Lugs.
I'm ready, Lugs.
Okay, so the Week 2 power rankings at number 7, holding it down for the second straight week, by the way, is the River Valley Raiders with only 51 points. They actually dropped 4 points in favor, by the way. So let me ask you guys, the River Valley Raiders, did they deserve to lose a few points, even staying at 7?
I don't know. I mean, it's tough. Week 1, you don't know what you got. They had a really good JV team last year. A lot of those kids are now starters for varsity. I'm a little surprised, but that tells me that maybe they were ranked in a few of the voters' polls at maybe 5 or 6, and they've lost a few, and maybe are garnering that 7th place position in the majority of them. So is it surprising? No, but it's the points kind of dropping 4 points. I thought that was a little bit surprising, but them being in 7th, no.
What do you think, Nate?
Well, for me, you get beat. What was it, 41-6 to Wellston in the first official week of the 2020 season, which we all know should be week 4 or week, whatever. But you finished tied for last year. You get beat by 30 some points in week 1. You're already in last in the preseason rankings, so I'm not surprised that they're still there. Obviously, somebody has to be there. I think that as we go through these rankings and you see that, they really are top heavy. There's 3, 4, 5 teams that people are, at least considering in week 2 that, is worthy of at least potentially being in that top spot at the end of the year. I don't think it's a surprise. Obviously, we know River Valley has Meggs this week. They beat them last year. If this is a week that that they can come off and surprise some people like they did last year, then you'll see them get those points and get some more points in terms of total points. So, but at least for out the first week, I'm not really surprised. They're the only team in the TVC Ohio that got beat by a ton. So it is what it is. It's been 1 week, not the end of the world. It's not like it's over. There's still 5 weeks to go. But right now, I'm not surprised that they're last.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I think I agree with you. Okay, let's move on to the number 6. At number 6 in the week 2 power ranking polls, holding it down for the second straight week are the Alexander Spartans, who actually gained points. They are 62 points this week. Let me ask you this, Nate, and I'll go to Brad. Did Alexander just steal a few River Valley's points, or is that 20-13 loss have people's eyes opened a little bit about Alexander?
I think they stole some of Athens' points because you come into last week and we all kind of expected Athens with the return of Joey Moore and all the other talent that they have and the fact that they've they won the co-championship last year. We all kind of thought that Athens would be, if not the team to beat, one of the top 2 or 3 at worst in the TVC Ohio. Obviously, Alexander comes off a 1-5 season last year in conference play, tied for last place. So we kind of figured that Athens wouldn't really have a whole lot of trouble with Alexander. And the fact that they did, and listen, we can talk about the fact that they dropped 7 touchdown passes, whatever, all day long. You can talk about that all day long. But the fact of the matter is that they only won the game by a touchdown. And for me, because they only won by a touchdown on the road against Alexander, that really closed that gap between them and Alexander for me. Now, obviously, Athens won the game. I still feel like they're the better team. Did they make more mistakes? That's up to debate. We don't know what Alexander did wrong. They may have done a lot of things that they didn't really want to do, or did things and messed up on a few things. But the fact is, it was a 7-point game. Alexander had the chance to tie or take the lead late in the game. So for me, it's not the fact that Alexander stole River Valley's points. They ate some of Athens' points because of the way that they played them so close. And moving forward, we'll really feel, as they play, another game or another 2 games. I know they have a game with St. Mary's. They actually filled their open week with St. Mary's, West Virginia,
good luck with that.
I don't really know how good they are, if they're great or not. I don't know, but we will find out. We will find out what Alexander has, over the next couple of weeks. And I think it's a case of them taking Athens' points because they played them close. They deserve it.
Right. Rose, this is kind of like if this was a congressional meeting right now, he would have used your time and his. But I'm going to give you some minutes. We're not hearing you, Rose. We're not hearing you.
About it. But what Nate said is spot on. I mean, they took some of Athens' fire. They probably did steal a few points. A few people probably had them in 6th above River Valley. River Valley probably lost a spot in a couple of these guys' choice polls. But Athens, to me, was kind of the surprising deal. I mean, I don't know much about it. You guys are saying there was quite a few drop passes, that could have been led to touchdowns. Right now, my biggest question is not Alexander. It's Athens, We want to see what Athens is going to do this week, and we get to see that with Viking County playing Athens this week. But back to Alexander, taking nothing away from those kids. They've been working hard, but it is what it is. Athens obviously was the better team that night, come out on top, whether they had mistakes or not. I'm sure they'll rectify them this week in practice. And Alexander will press on. We'll see what happens this week. Like I said, that team in West Virginia they're playing, I believe, was a 9-win team last year. So they're probably pretty legit. Somehow they come out with a win or a competitive. You'll probably see a few people kind of check into that, and maybe you'll see a few more points, and possibly they'll climb up to the 5th position next week.
Depending on how they do, right? Yeah, depending on how they do. But okay, let's move on to the number 5 spot. So in the number 5 spot with 85 points this week, by the way, Wellston was in the number 5 spot with 85 points in our preseason, but in the number 5 spot, dropping the biggest drop in the poll, dropping 4 slots, the Viking County Vikings are setting up 5 with the 85 points. So 85 points again. We know from the last one, 85 to 90 was kind of close the last time, but Vinton County lost. Now Meggs was 4, Vinton County was 2. Vinton County drops to 5. It makes you wonder where Meggs is, but we'll find out where Meggs is here in a minute. Brad, let me ask you, is that deserving? Did we deserve to drop to 5?
Probably so. I mean, people are skeptical. We're a 500 ball club over the last few years. They see Meggs, and I don't think many people have Meggs on their radar yet. But now us seeing them, we know. And Nate did. I can't say their pollsters maybe have a little bit of question about Meggs, and they see that Meggs come in and scored 3 touchdowns on us, I believe, in the fourth quarter or the last quarter and a half. They're probably saying, what's wrong with Vinton County? Same old Vinton County. So there's a little confidence there. Is it justified? Probably so. Do we know better? Yes. But again, to take nothing away from Meggs is a legit team, and that's not a bad loss, fellas. That's not a bad loss for us. I think in the end, people are going to see it, and we'll climb back up the polls. But right now, is it justified? Yeah, we're probably about where we need to be.
Losing to Meggs, nobody wants to lose. We were the better team. We should be 1-0, but we're 0-1. You pick up the pieces, you beat Athens. That's all you do. We're moving on. Okay. At number 4 in our Week 2 power rankings are the Nelsonville York Buckeyes with 87 points, 2 points better than Vinton County, and they got 1 first-place vote. I want to point out they lost to Trimble. They dropped 1 spot down to 4, by the way. So I'm going to go to Nate since he's got his hand raised. Go ahead, Nate. Tell me how you feel, buddy.
So I just want to point out, I actually had Nelsonville York under Vinton County in my personal power rankings, okay? And I'll tell you why. Okay, first of all, it rubs me the wrong way, the fact that we had to manipulate the schedule to get Nelsonville York to play Trimble week 1. They got beat, okay? And the only reason they got beat by 7 is because half of Trimble's team went out with cramps in the second half, okay? All right? Now, is Trimble as good as they have been? No. Are they still probably the best team in the Hawking? Yes. But how does that equate to the TVC Ohio? That's the question, okay? That's the only team that didn't play an Ohio team. And the thing is, in my experience and what I've followed over the last 25 years of really paying attention to the TVC Ohio and the TVC Hawking, is the fact that most years, not all years, but most years, the Hawking champion is not quite as good as the Ohio champion, and that's only based on numbers, okay? Because those schools are smaller, and that's fine. I'm not saying I'm not meaning any disrespect at all, because there and again, there have been some years that Trimble and some other teams maybe have been better than the Ohio champion. But the fact of the matter is that most of the time that's not the case. And if you look at Nelsonville York and the way that they got beat by Trimble, for me, obviously it wasn't a surprise. I kind of expected that to go the way that it did, and the fact that we heard some really. Obviously, it didn't come out as information, but we heard some things, some rumors that happened, during the end of the game in the locker room at Nelsonville. That's concerning to me, because we heard the same thing in 2015 when they went 1-9 and they got beat by River Valley and their coach resigned or whatever. We heard the same kind of rumblings that year. So for me, I had them, in the 5th spot, and I think rightfully so, because if you look at the way that this year is scheduled, it's conference heavy, obviously all the way through. You don't get that non-conference, window to really stake your case as how good you are, whether you lose to good teams or you beat bad teams. So for me, it's what have you done right now? Because that's where we're at right now in this situation. It's what have you done right now? And in my personal opinion, I have the teams that won in week 1 at the top, and then who I thought had the best loss behind them, and then so on and so forth. So, I'm not surprised. It's really going to be telling this week as Nelsonville York goes to Wellston to play. Obviously, we are pretty high on Wellston. We think that they're a top, maybe the top team, at least top 2, top 3 at worst. So if Nelsonville York can go to Wellston and pick up a win, they're right back up. That's all they got to do. It's right back to the top if they can go to Wellston and pick up a win. So it's all on them.
That's true.
And that's, that's how I feel personally at the moment. And Brad, what do you think I'm right? You think I'm wrong? You think I'm absolutely crazy? What do you think?
A little bit of both, a little bit of all of it.
But anyways, you're close. I had them at either 3 or 4. I think they had the best loss of the past weekend in the loss to Trimble. And I know there was some questions there with Trimble kids being, cramps and not being prepared quite, and there were some other things going on. But like you said, it is concerning about the rumors we heard during the week with coaching staff and players and a little bit of discontent there. Are they a little lower than what I would have them? Yes. They're a little lower than what I'd have them. I'd have them at maybe 4 or possibly 3. 5's reasonable. There's plenty of time for them to climb back up, and this week we'll really see what they're made of. I mean, we will.
Okay. All right. Well, let's move on. Let's get to the top 3 in the week 2 power rankings. So, are you guys ready for this? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
We know the 3 teams that are left. We know who was number 1 last week in the Athens Bulldogs. We're going to see if they could hold on to that 1 spot or if they fall with the close loss to or close win to Athens. So, okay, at the number 3 with 1 first place vote and a score of 92, by the way, pretty good score for a third place team. The Athens Bulldogs dropped 2 from our poll.
How do you win and drop 2 spots?
Yes. I want to point out.
It was a concerning win. I mean, they were playing on
the
road.
A win's a win, right?
It is, but
I think the bottom line is I don't think anybody was sold on Alexander as much as the way Athens played. But this is the first time, by the way, we've been doing this poll now for 3 years. Okay, this is the first time ever in any week Athens or Nelsonville hasn't been in 1 or 2 at any point in our power ranking polls. It's always been at least 1 or 2 of them in 1 or 2. And
that's pretty impressive. That is really impressive.
It really is. So Athens at 3. So tell me, Rose, do they deserve to be at 3? Did they deserve the fall because of the close win against Alexander?
Yeah, I would have them at 3. I mean, it's a little concerning. It's close.
Really?
Whatever. I would have them. I mean, the next 2 teams are the 2 best teams right now in the TVC, in my opinion. So that means that Athens is that next tier, and they'd have to be at 3 for me. The game against Alexander is a little concerning to me. The things we've heard about struggles and things with Athens, maybe they're true. I think 3 is kind of where they need to be right now. I'm in agreement with the poll.
Well, you, Nathan, or you kind of already said it, but go ahead. Tell us what you think of number 3.
Well, okay. So here, I'm giving Brad a hard time, but after watching the film of the Alexander and Athens game, the biggest concern that I have with Athens is their offensive line, because to me, obviously we know Joey Moore is if not the best quarterback in the TVC, like I've stated on our show, I feel like he's the second best, quarterback in the TVC Ohio, which is still pretty good. I mean, even behind Coach Cleveland, in my opinion, they're 1 and 1A. So the fact that he didn't have a lot of time, and it's not so much time, he had time to throw. He did have time to throw. The thing that I noticed the most in watching that film was the fact that he didn't have time to run. And that hurt us a little bit last year. His ability to take the ball and tuck it and run. And that's something that, the Alexander defense was able to kind of mitigate against them. And it helped them, stay in the football game. And, for me, that's really our strong suit is our defensive line. So not to get into us versus them, but if you're looking at them in a third place, obviously Meg's upsetting us, I guess you could say, at home in a game that we all feel like we kind of gave away. And then you have Wellston that did what they're supposed to do against River Valley on the road. As the as a team ahead of them, I think that they're deserving of the 3rd spot. I don't know, I don't know how you make a case for them being in the 2 spot or being in the 1 spot, because you look at Wellston, they did what they were supposed to do. You look at Megs, they did something that did everybody think they were going to do, maybe not. So that right there is 2 teams ahead of Athens. Now, if Athens would have went into Alexander and beat them by 40 points, then yes, they would be the number 1 team right now. But they didn't do that. So whether it was mistakes on their part or the fact that Alexander was, a little bit better than what we thought, those are 2 separate things. The fact of the matter is they only won by 1 touchdown, and they're in 3rd place. That's it. Period.
Now, I want to point out, too, that they lost 2 offensive linemen last week. One of them will be back this week. I don't know about the other one. So their offensive line should be a little bit improved. I don't know if it's going to matter. It does look like they have a lot of holes in that offensive line, too. So my personal opinion, Athens won against Alexander, and I know Wellston called the dogs off, at halftime, but really they didn't do anything more than they should have done. So, obviously we know the top 2 right now. We don't know who's 1 and 2, but we know that they jumped over Athens. I mean, Athens didn't kill Alexander, but they won. If they were 1, I'm surprised they dropped to 3. But let's move on. We're going to get to the top 2 real quick. I want a 10-second comment from you guys. 10 seconds, Nathan.
10 seconds.
Okay?
10.
Who do you think should be 1? Who do you think should be 2? Real quick. Just tell me. 10 seconds. I want it quick.
Wellston
1. Wellston, who do you think, Rose? Who should be 1 or 2?
I can't say it. I can't say Wellston. I'm going to say Meg should be number 1.
Okay. We're just going to start out with number 2. We're going to go with number 2. So the number 2 team in the Week 2 power rankings with 102 points. By the way, this is the first time we have had 2 teams with triple-digit scores, by the way, in our power rankings. That's how close this was. With 6 first-place votes, by the way. 6 first-place votes. 102 points are the Wellston Golden Rockets. They're sitting at number 2. They move up 4 spots from the 5 spot to the 2 spot.
How do you?
I don't know. Do my math. I don't know.
How do you get 6 first-place votes and finish 2nd in the rankings? How is
there's
that
some
possible?
shenanigans going on somewhere. Somebody doesn't like Wellston. So
I don't understand how that's possible.
6 first-place votes. They got more first-place votes this week than anybody else did, and they are sitting at 2nd with 102 points. So now, real quick, we're just going to roll into this. We're going to go to Megs real quick. We'll say what they got, and then we'll talk about both of them. At number 1 in our preseason power ranking poll are the Megs Marauders with 4 first-place votes and 108 points. Actually, 2 points more than Athens got when everybody thought they were the hands-down best team in the TVC. So you look at these 4 first-place votes versus 6 for Wellston. They still, by consensus, are ranked higher than the Wellston Golden Rockets are. But I think it's an absolute no doubt these 2 are looking like 1 and 2 right now. So Megs 1, Wellston 2, guys. Tell me what you think.
I'm in agreement with it. I think the polls got it right. And to me, someone there obviously does not like Wellston, or a few people, because
wow, shocker.
No way you get that many first place votes and then still don't garner enough overall points to get first place. So it is what it is.
I think they're going to be happy being number 2 for that matter. But go ahead, Nate.
My biggest thing is the fact that the way that the TVC Ohio schedule has shaken out this year, that Megs and Wellston don't play. How can they not play? They're the top 2 teams, at least after week 2.
That's where week 8, if these teams somehow are number 1, tied for number 1 in TVC or whatever, they've got to play.
Week 8. Exactly.
They have to. If both of these teams run the table, okay, hypothetically, let's say, and obviously we haven't lost to Wellston in, what is it, like 35 years? If somehow they go undefeated in conference play, and Megs goes undefeated in conference play, and they only have 1 game left against those 2 teams, I'm telling you right now, they have to play. I will be there. I will sponsor that game. I don't care what it takes. I don't care where they have to play it. We got to get that game played, because that will be for the title, and it has to be played. I mean, now, obviously, do I think that Wellston's going to be undefeated? We'll see. We'll see, because we still have to play them. We have a lot of, luck against them. We've got a nice record against them. But the fact that they're 1 and 2 right now. Obviously, they had the two biggest wins. A lot of people were high on Benton County.
Yeah.
Meigs was able to come on the road, come from behind, and win the game. That's great for them. A lot of people were high on Wellston. Maybe not so much on River Valley, but they did exactly what they should have done on the road. And so there's your 1 and your 2. Am I surprised that they're 1 and 2? No, not even a little bit, because I had them 1 and 2 in my personal rankings. So I just hope, however this thing works out, whether it works out to where both of those teams go undefeated in conference play, I hope that they can, somehow meet up in week 8, week 9, week 10, and crown a TVC Ohio championship. If they don't wind up being both undefeated, then, hopefully we're the team that wins.
Okay, so let's break it down real quick, and we'll finish this with one more question for both of you guys, and then we'll send it back to Nathan to close it out. Okay, so Meigs number 1, Wellston number 2, week 2 power rankings, Athens number 3, Nelsonville, York number 4, Benton County number 5, Alexander number 6, and River Valley last place at number 7. Let me ask you, Rose, and then I'm going to ask Nathan the same exact question. Who's the biggest mover from week 2 to week 3, up or down? Who's the biggest mover going to be?
I think potentially it could be Nelsonville. If Nelsonville knocks off Wellston, there's no way they don't jump up into the second spot minimum, depending on what Meigs does.
Okay, Nate, tell me, who's the biggest mover?
I agree with Brad, but for the sake of arguing, I'm going to say Benton County because we have dropped down. If we beat Athens, because still people, even though Athens is third, they're still going to think that Athens, subconsciously is still the best team in the conference because they have been so many years in a row. If we're able to go on the road and pick up a win against Athens, let's say we beat them by 2-3 scores, I think you'll see Benton County at the number 1 spot. I don't care what happens in Wellston this Friday. I think that's your biggest mover right there.
Awesome, man. All right, Nathan, we'll close this one out today. It was great to do this. By the way, this was awesome, but we'll see how everybody likes it. We'll see what happens. So go ahead and close this out.
Well, I know the last time that we did Skype, I somehow cut off the top, the bottom half of my face.
I think you did it a little bit this time too, but
I hope I didn't. I hope I didn't.
You're good. You're good.
I'm still getting used to this video stuff.
Yeah.
I don't like it. To be honest with you, I don't like it at all. Obviously, because this
for radio.
This is not a moneymaker. Yeah. The voice is where it's at.
All three of us are hiding behind a beard tonight.
I don't know. So listen, my wife is hot. She's hot, and I don't know how I got her. I really don't. So I got to kind of cover up as much as possible. Hide
the blemishes.
Yeah. Listen, beards are makeup for women. That's all it is. It's makeup for women.
You mean? Yeah.
Well, for me, you know what I'm talking about. So, but yeah. So, listen, if you guys out there watching enjoyed the video version of the power rankings, we'll continue to do it, even though we may not like it, even though it may make us uncomfortable. We will continue to do it. That's fine. But if not, let us know. Let us know. Either way, we'll go back to the old way if we need to. We'll keep doing these videos if you want it. So, but with that said, for Brad Rose, Lugs Harold, I'm Nathan Lamb. You've been listening to the Viking Red Zone.